Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. We knew it was coming, but we just didn't know how soon. It looks like Russia is starting to play chess with their gold market. Let's explore. Indeed, an expected move. Maybe this is the pawn trade, putting forth its pawn. Who knows? But nonetheless, it looks like, according to an article here from Intrafax.com, which is the International Information Group, Russian gold refineries seek to access the Shanghai Gold Exchange. We knew it was going to be coming sometime, and here it is. It's official now. And there's some lessons that can be learned here. We'll talk about those lessons here later on. Let's get to the nuts and bolts of this very short story, or a news bite here. Russian gold refineries and relevant ministries are holding negotiations on gaining access to trading on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. The director of regulation of the precious metal and precious stones sector of the finance ministry, Yulia Goncharenko, said. I think I pronounced that correctly, amazingly enough. And if you enjoy stories like this, I hope you will consider pressing the thumbs up button. We tried to hold negotiations, including to get on the Shanghai Exchange with our refining enterprises through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia, through our colleagues from the Industry and Trade Ministry. And essentially, this process is underway and concluding so that our refining enterprises can trade on the Shanghai Exchange. Goncharenko said at a meeting at the Federation Council of Regulation of the Gold Market. Russian banks VTB, Otrechity, and Sberbank, as well as National Clearing Center, known as NCC, and Moscow Exchange are currently members of the Shanghai Gold Exchange. So they have some clout there, considering those other organizations are already members. And that, folks, is sort of the divide between East and West to a degree. And so they're a part of this already. And so we'll see how this plays out. But it just goes to show you that this negotiation, at least according to Russian officials, sounds like it's all but a done deal. The negotiations are continuing. And so we'll see how this, what the end result of this is. But and it will also, if this is successful, they've been able to meet all of the criteria that the Shanghai is looking for and what the Russian gold refineries and ministries are looking out for to get on this trading with the Shanghai Gold Exchange. This could strengthen and solidify a potential new alliance or a solidified alliance with the BRICS nations. Yes, indeed, with Russia and China essentially being the biggest players in that. And that could embolden that partnership to potentially compete with the LBMA and the West in general in terms of the gold market. Again, Russia is around the second largest producer of gold out there. And so that means that, that they're going to, they're going to try their best to get that gold flowing in order to fund their country and obviously the war as well. But it just goes to show you, though, that, gold as a metal it is what it is. It doesn't have an agenda. So it is a tool. And it's a very powerful tool, as we saw with Venezuela. Hugo Chavez repatriated much of its gold when he was in power. And Maduro is trying to repatriate all of their gold from the Bank of England, but they said no. And I don't necessarily want to litigate that, but I've talked about that in prior videos. But there's several lessons to be learned here. Number one, gold is gold. And no matter where it's sourced, for instance, all the gold you see here, well, these are Western nation gold, except for the Australia piece, but they have Western values. Regardless, it's ironic because, the Perth Mint of Australia does have its bars and rounds at times embrace some of the Eastern cultures, like the dragon, and the dragons of the Chinese dragon in particular, like on this piece. And so, that's the kind of thing that you will see from time to time. And the Lunar Series is another thing that is quite popular among many of us Western stackers out there. No question about that. And so when you see that kind of thing happen, especially how gold is such an integral and important part of the East, more so than the West, especially in nations like China and India, it's more likely that gold is going to flow into those exchanges because it's much more important than it is in the West. Although I think in reality, many of these governments, like the British government, the United States government, know how important gold is. If they didn't, they wouldn't hold it in their central banks. That is, if you believe that they hold it in their central banks. And I think at least most in England do believe, because they've been very transparent to show the gold in their vaults. We not so much here in the United States. And so that causes people to question, and rightfully so. It wasn't long ago when former Treasury Secretary tweeted, "Glad gold is safe." I posted a video about it, and there were Xerox copies of photographs of him, Mitch McConnell, and others there at Fort Knox. It raised a lot more questions, really, than answers. But nonetheless, gold is gold. And, as we move more towards this idea of environmental social governance around gold, you are going to probably see more and more gold coins come out, like what the Royal Canadian Mint just did with a new maple leaf that literally comes from a mine up in Nunavut. And it has another privy mark on it with a hand holding the globe, designating it as gold specifically from that mine. And you can buy that gold coin knowing that it came from that mine. But if that coin gets melted down in a fire, it just becomes like all the other gold out there. Unless it has that special privy mark, there's no way of really knowing that it is sourced from a specific mine. These coins here were likely mined and ethically sourced areas, but nonetheless, gold is gold, and you never know. You never really fully know because of the nature of what gold is. And it is untraceable. In its purest form, gold is untraceable. And purity not only relates to the purity of the metal, but what is stamped on it. You take all of these coins and melt them down into one great big blob or bar or button or what have you. First of all, it'll probably be a very small size. It'll be much smaller than these. A fat little thing, probably no more than the size of this coin right here, just a lot thicker. That's how dense gold is. You think about it, this is a very thin, most of these are fairly thin coins, and you melt gold down, and that's it. And that's what it is. You can't say where it came from. The only other fingerprint gold will have is its purity. And all of the gold here is 4/9 fine pure gold. So it all has the same purity. So there you have it. An interesting story here. And the lesson here is that, gold will find a way to be distributed. It is very liquid, and no amount of sanctions or the like will stop it. And apparently with Russia, if we were to believe this story, and if we were to believe what they are saying as delivered to the Federal Council on Regulation of the Gold Market, and understanding that there are still some Russian banks that are members of the Shanghai Gold Exchange, this likely will happen and go through, and which means that they're not going to stop Russian gold. So a very interesting story. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. And do you have any Russian gold in your stack? I know of one other member of this community that does have that Cyber Curtain Twitcher. That's the only other person I've seen with their Russian bullion coin. You don't see them out there anywhere. I would love to have one. I think it's fascinating. And apparently it's of I don't know if it's St. George slaying the dragon, but that is their bullion coin. and it does not distribute elsewhere outside of most Western nations that I've seen. Cyber Switcher has a connection, I think, to Russia. Was able to get one of those, but fascinating indeed. And so yes, but nonetheless, gold is gold. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Hope you found this video insightful, and I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to all of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate this video. That means thumb it up. Yes, indeed. If I can get 50% of the viewing audience to thumb up this video, I will consider that a great success. Share this video with other social media platforms when you get a chance. Comment on it. Oh yeah, I'd love to hear what you got to say. Share and subscribe.